Most people believe the hardest decisions in life are about choosing the right path. They're wrong. The hardest decisions are about walking away. Every day, millions of people stay in jobs they secretly hate. They remain in relationships that stopped making them happy years ago. They keep pouring money into failing businesses, losing investments, unfinished degrees, or side projects that no longer make sense. Not because they still believe these things will work, but because they've already invested too much to quit. Ironically, the more they lose, the harder leaving feels. This invisible psychological trap has quietly destroyed fortunes, careers, and entire lives. Psychologists call it the sunk cost fallacy, and once you recognize it, you'll start seeing it everywhere. Imagine buying a movie ticket. 20 minutes into the film, you realize it's painfully boring. Every scene drags. You're checking your phone every few minutes. Logically, the best decision is simple. Leave. Your time is valuable, and staying won't improve the movie. Yet most people stay until the credits roll. Why? Because they paid for the ticket. The money is already gone. Leaving doesn't refund it. But somehow staying feels like recovering the investment. Except it isn't. It's simply adding 2 wasted hours to money that's already lost. This tiny decision reflects a much larger pattern that shapes entire lives. Imagine someone who spends 6 years studying for a career. After graduating, they realize they hate the work. Every morning feels heavy. Every week feels longer than the last. Yet they stay. Not because the future looks exciting, because they've already spent 6 years getting there. Instead of asking, what creates the best future? Their brain asks, how can I justify my past? That's the wrong question. Economists have known for decades that sunk costs should never influence future decisions. Money already spent is gone. Time already invested cannot be recovered. Only future costs and future rewards matter. Yet human beings consistently ignore this logic. Why? Because our brains weren't designed to think like economists. They were designed to avoid loss. Behavioral psychology shows that losses feel more painful than gains of equal size feel rewarding. Walking away feels like admitting defeat. Continuing feels like preserving hope, even when continuing guarantees bigger losses. Casinos understand this perfectly. A gambler loses $500. Instead of leaving, they double their bets. Not because the odds improved, because quitting would make the loss feel real. Hours later, the $500 has become $5,000. The original mistake wasn't losing, it was refusing to stop. The same pattern appears in investing. During market crashes, many investors refuse to sell collapsing stocks. They keep telling themselves the market will recover. Their decision isn't based on future potential. It's driven by the price they originally paid. Professional investors think differently. They know the market doesn't care what they paid yesterday. Only tomorrow matters. Businesses fall into the same trap. Companies spend years developing products. Costs rise. Research turns negative. Competitors move ahead. Everyone knows the project should end, yet executives keep funding it. Not because it's likely to succeed, because canceling would mean admitting billions were wasted. Every additional dollar makes quitting even harder. The trap feeds itself. But nowhere is the sunk cost fallacy more dangerous than inside careers. Imagine climbing the corporate ladder for 15 years. You earn good money, people admire your success, but every Monday feels unbearable. Deep down, you dream of doing something completely different. Maybe teaching, maybe writing, maybe starting a small business. Yet 15 years feels impossible to abandon. The career becomes a prison built from past effort instead of future opportunity. Relationships work the same way. People stay because of anniversaries, shared memories, homes, or simply the number of years they've invested. But none of those things answer the only question that matters. Will staying create a better future than leaving? Past commitment cannot guarantee future happiness, yet countless people confuse investment with value. The longer they've stayed, the harder it becomes to leave. Here's the hidden truth. Your past investments are not assets, they're history. History cannot negotiate with the future. Imagine driving toward a bridge that's collapsed. Would you continue simply because you've already driven 3 hours? Of course not. The distance already traveled doesn't rebuild the bridge. You turn around? Life works the same way. The future doesn't reward persistence alone. It rewards intelligent persistence. Knowing when to continue is valuable. Knowing when to stop is priceless. Many successful entrepreneurs aren't successful because every idea worked. They're successful because they abandoned bad ideas before they became catastrophic. They didn't confuse quitting with failure. They understood that quitting the wrong thing creates space for the right thing. This requires a different way of thinking. Instead of asking, "I've already invested so much," ask yourself, "If I were starting today, would I still choose this?" That single question bypasses the sunk cost fallacy almost instantly. If the answer is yes, keep going. If the answer is no, your past shouldn't trap your future. Another useful question is just as powerful. What advice would I give a close friend? Distance creates clarity. Emotion fades. Objectivity returns. Great investors, entrepreneurs, and leaders separate identity from investment. Changing direction doesn't erase what you've learned. Every mistake still teaches something. Every experience still has value. But forcing yourself to continue simply because you've already invested creates the real loss. Here's the irony. The people who seem most committed are sometimes the ones most controlled by their past. The people willing to walk away are often the ones building the strongest futures. Flexibility isn't weakness, it's intelligence. The ability to abandon a bad decision is one of the greatest financial and psychological advantages you can develop. Because opportunities don't disappear when you leave the wrong path. They finally become visible. The sunk cost fallacy survives because it disguises itself as responsibility. It tells you that perseverance is always noble, that quitting is always failure. Reality is different. Sometimes perseverance changes your life. Sometimes it only deepens the mistake. Wisdom is knowing the difference. Your future doesn't care how much money you've spent. It doesn't remember how many years you've invested. It only responds to the decisions you make next. The greatest cost in life isn't losing what you've already invested. It's sacrificing tomorrow just to justify yesterday. And once you understand that, walking away no longer feels like losing. It feels like freedom.